Every year, approximately 22,000 dolphins and porpoises are killed by fishermen in Japanese waters. And no town exemplifies the slaughter of these marine mammals more than the village of Taiji. From September to April, Taiji fishermen engage in a tactic called drive hunting, which herds pods of dolphins toward a cove, which is then enclosed by nets to prevent escape. Many of the dolphins are then killed by inserting a metal pin into their necks, severing their brain stems. At least 41 bottlenose dolphins have already been killed so far this year, according to the conservationist group Sea Shepherd. Now, you may be familiar with Sea Shepherd from the organization's TV show Whale Wars on Animal Planet, which documents the group's efforts to stop the killing of whales and dolphins by commercial fishermen. Instead of merely protesting this practice, Sea Shepherd engages in direct action against these ships by sabotaging their efforts. The group's founder, Captain Paul Watson, has become an international threat and has had every entity from Interpol to the Japanese government after him. As a result, Watson spent 15 months at sea eluding the capture of authorities, but recently returned to the U.S. last October to face an appeals court. So here to discuss what's happening in Taiji as well as Sea Shepherd's other direct action campaigns, I'm joined now by Captain Paul Watson himself. Thank you so much for coming on, Captain.
Thank you.
So you've been called everything from an eco-terrorist to a pirate to an extreme conservationist. How would you describe yourself and what you do?
Well, we're simply going out and doing what the governments refuse to do. I mean, we have all the rules and the regulations and the laws to protect our oceans, but they're not being enforced. And we don't protest. We go out and intervene against illegal activities. And what the Japanese whaling fleet is doing in the Southern Ocean is killing whales in violation of an international moratorium on whaling. They're taking endangered and threatened species in an internationally established marine or whale sanctuary. And you know, they shouldn't be doing this. But the government, there's rules to stop them, but nobody wants to apply these rules against a powerful nation like Japan.
And let's talk more specifically about the tactics that your organization is employing to stop this slaughter and how successful they've been.
Our tactics have been very successful. In fact, the most efficient tactic is simply to block the stern slipway of the factory vessel, and this prevents them from loading dead whales. If they can't load dead whales, they can't kill them. And last year they took less than 10% of their quota. I think we're going to do even better this year. The year before that, 17%. We've saved well over 6,000 whales in the last few years, and we've cost them hundreds of millions of dollars of their of what they sought to attain through illegal means.
And of course, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has defended the practice as part of Japan's cultural tradition. He says that it supports the livelihood of fishermen. How do you respond?
Well, the Japanese whaling operation in the Southern Ocean was never part of Japan's culture. In fact, it was instituted by General Douglas MacArthur in 1946. And the killing of dolphins has been there for some time, but capturing dolphins for sale to marine aquariums, that is not something that's traditional. That's very, very new. And that's what the main impetus is to capture them for marine aquariums. They can get $150,000 to $200,000 per dolphin captured, only a couple $100 for the ones that they kill for meat. So what's driving this is the marine aquarium industry. If they weren't buying those dolphins for display, they wouldn't be killing them in Taiji.
And as I understand, Sea Shepherd has also accused SeaWorld of collaborating with the slaughter. How is this popular theme park involved?
All the marine aquariums are encouraging the capture and display of dolphins. And this industry is what is killing the dolphins, their enslavement and the killing. You know, when they drive these dolphin pods into Taiji, what they do is they select the prime specimens. They're the ones that they take off and enslave to the marine aquarium industry. Then they kill others, then they let them go. They completely disrupt all these pods. They kill about 1,500 in Taiji every year, and it used to be more, but we managed to cut that figure down by just being there on the ground every single day and being in their face. We call it Operation Infinite Patience because they've been incredibly stubborn, and we've been on the ground there since 2003 trying to stop them.
You know, anyone who's seen The Cove or knows about your show, Captain, knows that this is going on in Japan. Is there anywhere else in the world that's encouraging this type of animal slaughter when it comes to marine life?
Yes, we're intervening against the pilot whale slaughter in the Danish Faroe Islands. That's just north of Scotland, where they do the same thing, except what they do it there, it's for amusement, for sport. They call it part of their tradition, too. It's called the grind. And they drive these animals up on the beach. And there it's actually even worse, because you have people who are drunk, you have children participating, stabbing, poking, slashing. It's an orgy of blood, and they consider this part of the tradition. Personally, I don't feel that traditions should survive in the 21st century where, you know, cruelty and killing are involved. You know, when people cite, for instance, the bullfight in Spain, that's another example. Catalonia has banned it because it is a brutal sport. We have to stop these brutal, bloody traditions.
Right. I mean, there's only so much you can go using tradition as a justification for mass slaughter. Looks like they're all just having a grand old time. I saw those photos. They're pretty horrendous of the Danish slaughter that you just mentioned. You're known for your endorsement of something called monkey wrenching. What is that, and why do you believe that this is the best way to fight for endangered species?
Well, I don't think it's the best way. I think that, you know, what we have to do is go in there and intervene against these illegal activities. I have to point out the Sea Shepherd does not protest. We're simply going in there and doing enforcement work, and in many cases we're working in partnership. Right now we're in partnership with the government of Ecuador to protect the Galapagos Marine Reserve. We're in partnership with Senegal to stop poaching off of their coasts. So, you know, we're working for effective means, but the one thing that Sea Shepherd has done since 1977 is to ensure that everything that we do, that we don't injure anybody. We've never caused a single injury, and we operate within the law. And we've been very responsible in that, but we do get, you know, results, and those results are we save the lives of sharks and whales and dolphins and seals by getting in the way of the people who are killing them.
And unfortunately, the governments don't like that too much, Captain. Japan issued an arrest warrant for you, as I mentioned in the introduction. As a result, you were at sea for 15 months. Why did you decide to come back to the U.S., and what's the current legal status of your case?
Well, we're fighting this, but, you know, they issued an arrest warrant, and they want me extradited for the charge of trespassing. You know, nobody got hurt. And I didn't even do the trespassing. And in fact, the man who did trespass, I advised him not to do it. But they made a plea bargain with him, and in exchange for releasing him for trespassing on board a Japanese whaling vessel, he accused me of ordering him, which in fact I'm on camera on Whale Wars actually doing just the opposite. But so, you know, they want me in Japan. If they get me in Japan, I'm not going to be released because they'll certainly fabricate more charges. We've cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. So, you know, they're certainly driven. They have a reason to do that. But legally, I don't think, you know, we've been very careful to work within the law. And we intend to always do that.
Why does Sea Shepherd employ so much effort to specifically target whale and dolphin killing operations? And why not focus your activism against industrial farms and the massive mistreatment of livestock and the world's addiction to meat, for example?
Well, because it's called the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, and our focus is on the ocean, and we are involved with everything from protecting plankton to the great whales, sea cucumbers or mussels or oysters. We have all these things that we're involved in, but, you know, you don't hear about that a lot. We've had campaigns to try and stop the overfishing of bluefin tuna in the Mediterranean. We're stopping people from poaching sea cucumbers and sharks in the Galapagos. I mean, the whales and the dolphins get a lot of the attention, but Sea Shepherd focuses on everything in the ocean. And our focus is conservation, and our specific focus is illegal exploitation of marine wildlife.
And you've talked specifically about the economics of extinction when it comes to the ocean. Explain how many marine animals is being driven into extinction, is profitable for commercial fishing.
As the species numbers go down and they're diminished, the value of them go up. For instance, on bluefin tuna, the less bluefin tuna there are in the ocean, the more the value of it is in the market. And what Mitsubishi and other companies are doing is they're stockpiling bluefin tuna in Japan. They want a 5, 10, 15-year supply. The more tuna they have in the deep frozen in the warehouses, the more valuable that becomes as the numbers in the oceans are diminished. Already, bluefin tuna, an average fish is $75,000, and some is sold for well over $1 million. So, you know, scarcity translates into profit, and billions of dollars of profit are to be made from driving the bluefin tuna into extinction.
That's horrifying, and I think a lot of people don't understand how counterintuitive that really is. I can't let you go without asking about this. You've described the current state of humanity as a virus, and have called for the global population to be reduced to below 1 billion, where communities of no more than 20,000 people exist. Captain, how do you realistically propose this to happen without a mass genocide of innocent people?
I don't actually realistically propose it at all. I'm just saying that was what the ideal would be under ecological circumstances. Viruses diminish the immune system of the body. Human society is now diminishing the immune system of planet Earth. The strength of the ecosystem lies in diversity and interdependence of species within that diversity. By diminishing that diversity and diminishing interdependence, we're making the life support system of this planet weaker, and that will have serious consequences for humanity. So I'm not proposing that we reduce the populations like that. I'm just saying that that would be the ideal in an ecological utopia. However, we do have to be very considerate of the fact that human populations, as they go up, steal carrying capacity from other species, causing them to go extinction. And because there is a relationship between us and our survival and them, the more we diminish, the less certain is our future.
And Captain, we have about a minute left, but how can people help the fight against the slaughter of dolphins and whales?
We need to put pressure on the Japanese government. I'm thankful for Ambassador to Japan, Carolyn Kennedy, for her statement. She finally turned the tide. Now the UK and Germany and Italy and other countries are now coming out, and this is what we need, this kind of official diplomatic pressure against Japan to stop this horrible massacre in Taiji and the slaughter of dolphins. These are highly intelligent, socially complex creatures, and we have no business destroying them the way we're doing. And in fact, the way they're being killed, this would never even be tolerated in any slaughterhouse in the world. I mean, it's extremely cruel. And, it seems to me that we get away with killing animals at sea in a way that would never be tolerated on land.
Very, very true, very horrifying things going on. Thank you for keeping up the pressure. Captain Paul Watson, founder, Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, really appreciate you coming on. Stop the killing of whales and dolphins by commercial fishermen. Instead of merely protesting this practice, Sea Shepherd engages in direct action against these ships by sabotaging their efforts. The group's founder, Captain Paul Watson, has become an integral Taiji fishermen engage in a tactic called drive hunting, which herds pods of dolphins toward a cove, which is then enclosed by nets to prevent escape. Many of the dolphins are then killed by inserting a metal pin into their necks, severing their brain stems. National threat, and has had every entity from Interpol to the Japanese government after him. As a result, Watson spent 15 months at sea eluding the capture of authorities, but recently returned to the U.S. last October to face an appeals court. Every year, approximately 22,000 dolphins and porpoises are killed by fishermen in Japanese waters. And no town exemplifies the slaughter of these marine mammals more than the village of Taiji. From September to April, at least 41 bottlenose dolphins have already been killed so far this year, according to the conservationist group Sea Shepherd. Now, you may be familiar with Sea Shepherd from the organization's TV show Whale Wars on Animal Planet, which documents the group's efforts to